The rain poured heavily that night, soaking the streets and drowning out the sound of her footsteps as she stumbled forward, clutching a thin suitcase to her chest. Her fingers were numb from the cold, but the pain in her heart hurt far worse. She had given up everything for him, her dreams, her career, her family's approval, only to watch him wrap his arms around another woman without a trace of guilt. Lin Qian's reflection in the puddle seemed like that of a stranger. Her once bright eyes were dull, her lips pale from the chill, and her soul felt hollow. "How could I be so stupid?" she whispered, her voice cracking. For 3 years, she'd been his silent shadow, cooking, cleaning, supporting him as he clawed his way up in the corporate world. He had promised, "Once I make it, you'll never have to lift a finger again. You'll be my wife, my everything." But earlier that evening, she had stood outside the glass walls of a luxury restaurant, watching him toast champagne with his so-called business partner. A woman draped in a crimson dress leaned against him, laughing sweetly as he tucked her hair behind her ear. Lin Qian had waited for him to push her away, to defend the vows he made in private. Instead, he kissed the woman under the dim chandelier light as though Lin Qian didn't exist at all. That kiss burned itself into Lin Qian's memory like a scar. She had worked tirelessly for years in a career she loved as an architect, but when he asked her to quit and help him build his empire, she didn't hesitate. She sacrificed her ambitions, believing in their shared future. And now, she had nothing, not even the dignity, to demand answers from a man who clearly no longer wanted her. Her phone buzzed. It was him, Zhou Yichen. For a moment, her fingers hovered over the screen, trembling. Then she rejected the call. What was left to say? Suddenly, the storm picked up, forcing her to duck into a narrow alley. A black car slowed down as it passed her, and she felt her stomach tighten. The tinted window rolled down to reveal a man with sharp features and eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. "You look like a woman with nothing to lose," he said calmly. Lin Qian stared, unsure whether to run or speak. "I have a proposal," the man continued, his voice deep and steady. "You want revenge, don't you? I can give you the power to fight back. Who are you?" Lin Qian asked hoarsely, clutching her suitcase tighter. "Someone who's been wrong too," he replied. "But unlike you, I didn't roll over and accept it. I fought back and I won." Lin Qian wanted to scoff. She wasn't the kind of person who sought revenge. She just wanted to disappear, to heal. But something in the man's eyes, cold yet strangely kind, made her pause. "You can keep running," he said, "or you can stand up and make them regret ever underestimating you. What will it be?" Lin Qian's breath came out shaky. She thought of Zhou Yichen's smug face, of how he looked at his lover like she was the center of his world. Something inside her cracked, and for the first time in years, a tiny ember of anger flickered in her chest. "What exactly are you offering me?" she asked cautiously. "A chance to rebuild yourself and destroy the man who destroyed you," he said, his words settled like a challenge in the air. Lin Qian felt her pulse quicken. Was this her moment to reclaim her life, or was she about to step into a trap even worse than the one she had escaped? Before she could respond, the man unlocked the car door and pushed it open. "Get in," he said simply. Lin Qian's fingers tightened around her suitcase handle. Her entire future seemed to hang in the balance. She could turn away, walk into the cold night, and let the world forget her existence. Or she could take that first dangerous step towards something unknown, something that could either save her or destroy her completely. Her heart pounded as she took one hesitant step forward, and then another. As she reached for the car door, the storm seemed to pause for a split second, as though holding its breath. Would Lin Qian choose to stay the quiet, obedient woman Zhou Yichen discarded? Or would she rise from the ashes as someone he'd never dare to betray again? The answer hung in the air, unresolved, as the car door slowly began to close behind her. The car ride was silent except for the sound of raindrops tapping against the windows. Lin Qian kept her gaze fixed on her hands, which were clenched tightly in her lap. She didn't know why she had agreed to get in. Maybe it was the way the stranger's voice had carried a quiet authority, or maybe it was because, deep down, she couldn't bear the thought of going back to the tiny rented room where every corner reminded her of Zhou Yichen. "You haven't asked where we're going," the man said finally, his eyes flicking to her in the rearview mirror. "Does it matter?" Lin Qian murmured. "I don't have anywhere else to be." The man didn't respond right away. He seemed to be studying her carefully, as though weighing her words. "You're not weak," he said. "You think you are because they made you believe it. But I can see it, you're angry. And anger is Power if you know how to use it. Lin Qian stayed quiet, but his words settled deep in her chest. For years, she had silenced her own frustrations. She had convinced herself to forgive Zhou Yichen each time he came home late, smelling faintly of perfume. She had believed his promises when he said, "Just a little longer, Qian. After this deal, I'll marry you." Now those promises felt like daggers twisting in her back. "Who are you?" she asked finally. "Zhu Zayan," he replied. "Let's just say I know what it's like to lose everything because of betrayal. But unlike you, I didn't stay on the ground. I got back up." Lin Qian frowned. "Why help me? You don't even know me." Zhu Zayan's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. "Maybe I see a little of myself in you. Or maybe I need you as much as you need me." That answer unsettled her, but before she could press him further, the car pulled into the underground parking lot of a sleek glass building. He stepped out and held the door open for her. Inside, the air smelled of leather and faint cologne. Zhu Zayan led her to a private office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. The contrast between her wrinkled clothes and his immaculate tailored suit felt like a cruel reminder of how far she had fallen. "Sit," he said, gesturing to a chair. "Let's talk about Zhou Yichen." Her heart thudded painfully at the sound of that name. "You still love him?" Zhu Zayan asked bluntly. Lin Qian hesitated. Did she? Or was she clinging to the memory of the man she thought he was? "I don't. No," she whispered. "That's good," Zhu Zayan said, "because love makes people soft, and soft won't get you anywhere." Lin Qian bristled. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to take your life back," he said. "And in the process, I want to take down Zhou Yichen. He's been on my radar for a long time." Lin Qian's eyes widened. "Why?" Zhu Zayan leaned back in his chair. "Let's just say he stepped on the wrong people to climb up. I've been waiting for the right time to make him pay. You, Lin Qian, might just be the key." She stared at him, unsure whether to feel terrified or intrigued. "What could I possibly do? He doesn't even see me as a threat." "That's exactly why you're dangerous," Zhu Zayan said with a faint smirk. "He won't see you coming." Over the next few days, Lin Qian found herself pulled into a world she didn't recognize. Zhu Zayan set her up in a modern apartment far from her old neighborhood and hired a team to help her rebuild her image. She learned how to dress sharply, speak confidently, and navigate the business world she had abandoned years ago. But behind the transformation was a deeper plan. Zhu Zayan wanted her to infiltrate Zhou Yichen's inner circle, not as the meek woman he once dismissed, but as someone powerful enough to make him tremble. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Zhu Zayan asked one evening as they went over documents outlining Zhou Yichen's latest ventures. Lin Qian hesitated, then nodded. "He destroyed me once. I won't let him do it again." But even as she spoke the words, part of her still ached at the thought of facing him. Could she really stand in front of the man she had once loved and not crumble? Meanwhile, in Zhou Yichen's world, cracks had already begun to form. His so-called lover, Shen Lia, was not as loyal as she appeared. Unknown to him, she had been feeding information to his rivals. And when Zhou Yichen heard rumors of a sharp, mysterious businesswoman making waves in the industry, he had no idea she was the same woman he had so carelessly cast aside. As Lin Qian prepared for her first face-to-face encounter with Zhou Yichen at an upcoming corporate gala, her heart pounded like a drum. This would be her moment, not to beg, not to cry, but to make him see the woman he had underestimated. But Zhu Zayan's warning echoed in her mind. "Don't let your emotions control you. The moment you hesitate, he wins." The night of the gala arrived. Dressed in an elegant black gown, Lin Qian stepped out of the car, her chin held high despite the storm raging in her chest. Cameras flashed as she entered the grand hall, her presence commanding attention. Across the room, Zhou Yichen froze mid-conversation when he saw her. It was the first time in months their eyes met. His shock was visible, but quickly masked by the arrogant smirk she once knew so well. "Lin Qian," he said, striding toward her. "You're still alive?" Lin Qian's lips curved into a calm, unreadable smile. "Surprised to see me, Yichen?" But beneath her calm exterior, her pulse raced. This was the man who had shattered her. Now, she was about to shatter his world. She didn't flinch as he stopped in front of her, his expression a mix of confusion and unease. For the first time, Zhou Yichen looked at her like she was a stranger, and that's exactly what she intended to be, the woman he couldn't control, couldn't predict, and definitely couldn't destroy again. But as they locked eyes, neither noticed Shenlia watching them from across the room, her lips curling into a dangerous smile. She had her own secrets. And soon, Lin Qian would realize Zhou Yichen wasn't the only one she'd have to fight. Zhou Yichen's gaze lingered on Lin Qian as if he were trying to piece together how the timid, obedient woman he had discarded had turned into the confident figure standing before him. Her black gown seemed to swallow the room's light, her calm expression cutting deeper than any accusation could. For a moment, he almost didn't recognize her. "You've changed," he said, his voice low but strained. "No," Lin Qian replied, softly. "I just stopped being the version of myself you wanted me to be." His smirk faltered. The arrogance that had once dripped from every word he spoke was gone, replaced by something he wasn't used to feeling: uncertainty. He opened his mouth as if to say more, but before he could, Shenlia stepped between them, her arm hooked tightly around his. "Well, if it isn't the housemaid turned socialite," Shenlia sneered, her voice dripping with mockery. "You're still desperate for scraps, aren't you? Coming here, thinking you belong?" Lin Qian's lips curled into a knowing smile. "You should choose your words carefully, Miss Shen. It'd be a shame if everyone found out whose side you're really on." Shenlia stiffened, her fingers digging into Zhou Yichen's arm. He turned to her sharply, suspicion flashing in his eyes. "What's she talking about?" he demanded. Lin Qian's calm didn't falter. She had spent weeks gathering evidence with Zhu Zayan's help: documents, recordings, and even bank transfers proving Shenlia had been feeding confidential company information to Zhou Yichen's biggest rival. "You thought you were clever, Yichen," Lin Qian said, her voice steady. "But the woman you betrayed me for was selling you out all along." The murmurs in the room grew louder as people began whispering. Shenlia's face turned pale, and her grip on Zhou Yichen's arm slackened. "That's a lie," she shouted. "She's trying to turn you against me." But Zhou Yichen's phone buzzed in his pocket. He yanked it out, scrolling rapidly through messages and photos sent anonymously. His hands shook as he read the undeniable proof of Shenlia's betrayal. You set me up," he said, his voice cracking. He turned on Shenlia, his anger boiling over, but Lin Qian's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "No, Yichen, you set yourself up the moment you chose her over me. You didn't just break my heart, you underestimated me." For a long moment, Zhou Yichen just stared at her. The confident man who once controlled every room now looked like a child lost in a storm. "Qian," he started, but she held up her hand to stop him. "Don't," she said firmly. "This isn't about apologies. This is about consequences. I loved you enough to give up everything: my dreams, my career, my self-respect. And you threw me away like I was nothing. But tonight, you're the one losing everything." Shenlia tried to slip away in the commotion, but security guards discreetly hired by Zhu Zayan intercepted her at the door. "Take her out," Zhu Zayan instructed calmly as he appeared at Lin Qian's side. Zhou Yichen's eyes darted between Lin Qian and Zhu Zayan. "It was you," he said bitterly. "You put her up to this." Zhu Zayan smirked. "You did that yourself. I just gave her the tools to fight back." The weight of his downfall seemed to crash onto Zhou Yichen all at once. He looked smaller somehow, hunched over as if the air had been knocked out of him. But Lin Qian didn't stay to watch him crumble. She turned to leave, her heels clicking softly against the marble floor. Each step felt lighter than the last, as though she was shedding years of pain with every movement. "Lin Qian," Zhou Yichen called out behind her, his voice breaking. "I was wrong. Please, let's start over." She paused, her back still to him. "I'm not the same woman who would have begged you to stay," she said quietly. "And you're not the man I once loved." There's nothing left to save. As she walked out of the hall, Zhu Zayan followed silently, his expression unreadable. Outside, the air was cool and smelled faintly of rain. "You did well in there," Zhu Zayan said softly. Lin Qian gave a faint smile. "I didn't do it for revenge. I did it to take my life back." "Do you regret it?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not anymore." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. "You have choices now, Lin Qian," Zhu Zayan said finally. "What will you do next?" She took a deep breath, feeling lighter than she had in years. "I'll live not for him, not for revenge, but for me. For the first time, I'll live the way I want." As they walked away from the building together, Lin Qian didn't look back. She didn't need to. The past was behind her, and for the first time in a long time, the future was hers alone. The night felt strangely calm, as though the world itself was telling her she had finally done the right thing. And deep down, Lin Qian knew this wasn't the end. It was her true beginning.